In a previous video, I showed you how to multiply binomials together. I gave you an easy to remember rule to multiply two binomials together. Unfortunately, that rule is not going to help you in a situation such as this. It's not going to help you because even though the first sets of brackets contain a binomial, x minus 2, it only contains two terms, x and negative 2, the second set of brackets does not contain a binomial. It contains a polynomial that has three terms, x squared, 3x, and negative 4. Therefore, you will not be able to perform that FOIL rule that I told you about in order to perform this multiplication. So how are you going to proceed? How are you going to multiply these two polynomials together? Well, when you're multiplying polynomials together, the key thing to remember is that you have to multiply every term in every polynomial by every term in the other polynomial. So you have to multiply this x by this x squared. Then to this you have to add the product of this x and this 3x. To that you're going to add the product of this x and this negative 4. And to that you're going to add the product of the negative 2 times x squared. Then to that you're going to add the product of this negative 2 times 3x. And then to that you're adding the product of this negative 2 and this negative 4. So let's go ahead and see how that is going to look like. So first you're going to multiply this x by this x squared. So x times x squared. And to this you're adding the product of this x and the second term in the second polynomial, 3x. So x times 3x. And to this you're going to add the product of the first term in the first polynomial, x, and the negative 4. So you're going to essentially add x times negative 4, and to this you're going to add the product of this negative 2 and this x squared, negative 2 times x squared, and to that you're going to add the product of the negative 2 and the 3x. So negative 2 times 3x. And to that, you're going to add the product of the negative 2 and the negative 4. Negative 2 times negative 4. And now all you have to do is you just have to perform the multiplication in every one of these terms. So let's go ahead and do that below. X times x squared is simply going to be x cubed plus x times 3x. X times 3x is simply equal to 3x squared. Now, it is tempting to put a plus sign here, but look at what the multiplication we're going to perform in this term. We're going to multiply x times negative 4. X is positive here. So a positive x, or any positive, times a negative is going to give you a negative. So x times negative 4 is actually going to give us a negative 4x. Now, again, over here, it's tempting to put a plus sign, but look at what we have here. We have a negative 2 times a positive x squared, and so we're going to have a negative 2x squared. Once again, over here, we're going to have a negative times a positive 3x, so a negative 2 times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6, so we're going to get a negative 6x. And finally over here, well, here we can put a positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. So we're going to have a positive negative 2 times negative 4. 2 times 4 is equal to, or rather, let me get the color correct, is equal to 8. Right, so we are almost done here. The final thing we have to do is we have to combine like terms. We have to combine like terms. So let's see how many terms in here have an x cubed, x to the 3. This one has it, this one doesn't, this one doesn't, this one doesn't, this one doesn't, this one doesn't. So this x cubed cannot be combined with any of the remaining terms. Let's see how many terms have an x squared. Well, this one has an x squared, 3 to the x squared has an x squared. 4x, it has an x, but it's not squared, so this 3x squared cannot be combined with this 4x. 2x squared, well, this one has an x squared, so we can combine these two terms. We can combine this guy and this guy. Negative 6x cannot be combined with 3x squared. And 8 cannot be combined with anything that has x squared as well. Now let's see how many terms have just an x. So we already did all of these previous terms before, so we don't have to consider them. Let's just consider the terms after 4x. 2x squared, it has an x squared, cannot be combined with negative 4x. Negative 6x, it just has an x. It can be combined with this 4x. So these two terms are going to be combined. And then 8 has no x, so it will not be combined with anything else. So we can essentially just combine these two terms and these two terms. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we're going to have x cubed plus 3x squared, and we're going to subtract from this, because there's a negative sign here, 2x squared. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1, so we could just write 1x squared here, or we can simply just write x squared. Plus, now we have negative 4x, take away 6x, negative 4 minus 6 is going to be equal to negative 10. So rather, instead of putting a plus sign here, we should have put a minus 10. Let me get the color right. 10x. And then we just have this plus 8 dangling at the end. Plus 8. And that's your final answer.